What's up, YouTube? So today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is Stargates and the possibility of them being real. Growing up, I was obsessed with the movie Stargate. I may have been like 5 years old, but something about that movie just registered with me where I always believed that there's a possibility that they are possibly real. Now, the inspiration for this particular video is that there's a good conspiracy floating around that the reason we invaded Iraq twice was for a Stargate. Yes, a Stargate that Saddam Hussein knew about and tried to activate. And we're going to dive into that today. If you're new to my content, I'm just going to warn you. I talk about stuff that is really far out there, stuff that the average person will probably think you're crazy if you were to bring it up to them in conversation. This is the open-minded thinker zone. So if that is you, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and make yourself at home. Now, without further ado, what are Stargates? Stargates are gateways that allow instantaneous travel from one planet to another. Many of us know about these from the movie that inspired the popular TV series Stargate. Einstein-Rosen bridges that allow rapid travel between two distant locations. Ancient alien technology that was said to be left here by the ancient creator gods known as the Anunnaki. Many ancient cultures reference structures or doorways where gods came through to enter Earth. An ancient legend speaks of a mysterious doorway which is located in the vicinity of Lake Titicaca. Legend has it that the door will open one day and welcome the creator gods of all mankind. These gods will return in their solar ships. Another legend tells the time when Spanish conquistadors arrived in Peru and looted gold and precious stones from the Incan tribes. According to one legend, an Incan priest of the Temple of Seven Rays named Amaru Maru fled from his temple with a sacred golden disc known as the Key of the Gods of Seven Rays and hid in the mountains of Hayumarca. He eventually came upon a doorway which was being watched by shaman priests. He showed them the Key of the Gods and a ritual was performed with a conclusion of a magical occurrence initiated by the golden disc which opened a portal. A blue light illuminated from the tunnel inside. The priest of Amaru Maru handed the golden disc to the shaman, then passed through the portal, never to be seen again. The structure superficially resembles the Gate of the Sun at Tiwanaku. It's also aligned with 5 other archaeological sites which together form an imaginary cross, with straight lines crossing each other exactly at the point where the plateau and Lake Titicaca are located. The Bible mentions 12 gates to the heavens. New Jerusalem had a doorway to the heavens for each of the 12 tribes. This is a map of said stargates all around the world. 12 gates that get you into the heavens. These gates tend to be found along intersecting points of ley lines, where Earth's energy is naturally the strongest. Some of the portals open automatically and the people who are in the area tend to vanish off the face of the Earth. The Bermuda Triangle is said to be the location of the third Stargate. Ships and planes mysteriously disappear for unknown reasons. It's believed that this is the location of the lost city of Atlantis, and there's a pyramid underneath that is emitting energy that's causing these anomalies. The Lake Michigan Triangle, as well as the Devil's Triangle and the Devil's Sea, are also notorious for anomalies where ships and planes have disappeared, as well as having pyramids or structures beneath them. NASA has been able to observe the anomalies through satellites. Since the 1990s, they've observed a number of anomalies where space and time was being distorted as if it was in a Einstein-Rosen bridge. University of Iowa plasma physicist Jack Scudder used the data from NASA satellites to discover that there were places in Earth's magnetic field that were connected to the sun's magnetic field 93 million miles away. Portals that allowed matter to be transported millions of miles away. They were known as X-points. Could these X-points be us witnessing spontaneous openings to other dimensions? Now let's talk about an interesting conspiracy theory that's been floating around regarding the true reason we invaded Iraq twice. What if I were to tell you it's because of a Stargate that was housed in the ziggurat of Ur that was left by the Anunnaki and discovered by Saddam Hussein? This rabbit hole goes pretty deep. What if I were to also tell you that the movie Stargate that inspired the popular TV series was just a form of soft disclosure by the military? 2 months before the events of 9/11, Chief of Staff of the Air Force Michael E. Ryan appeared on an episode of Stargate SG-1 as himself. At the time, he was the highest-ranking military official appearing on a television series about how the government hides secret alien technology that allows them to travel through space and time using Stargates. The U.S. invaded Iraq twice under George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr., and the motive was weapons of mass destruction and oil, and I quote that lightly. Iraq is home to the ziggurat of Ur. which housed the Stargate that was left for the return of the ancient creator gods known as the Anunnaki. The British discovered this during the invasion of Iraq in the 1920s. The Third Reich also had the same intention during World War II. It's noted that George Bush's grandfather, Prescott Bush, was the financial backer of the Third Reich, who were obsessed with finding ancient technology of the gods. When Saddam Hussein gained power in the 1980s, he tried to finish where the Germans left off. Ironically, Saddam Hussein claimed to be the reincarnation of King Nebuchadnezzar, who founded and built Babylon. Saddam wanted to bring Iraq back to its former glory during the Nebuchadnezzar rule. Nebuchadnezzar built the Bible's fiery furnace, which was made of pure gold. People were able to go in and out of the fiery furnace, but only with the aid of what some say was alien technology. The book of Daniel mentions the story about three priests, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the three wise men who were taken from Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar saw value with their knowledge. He thought the wise men could be the eyes and ears of the Babylonian Empire. Now, according to biblical interpretation, the men were thrown into the fiery furnace because they didn't bow down to a statue, since the wise men believed in God and didn't worship idols. The fire was so hot it supposedly killed the soldiers who threw them in. As the three men were in the furnace, the king noticed a fourth person in the furnace who appeared to be a god. The king yells for them to come out. Nebuchadnezzar was so impressed that the men came out unscathed by the fire, he made it the law of the land to worship the god that he's seen. But what if this fiery furnace was something that was lost in translation? The fiery furnace was just alien technology that transported people to another dimension. A machine that generated huge amounts of heat and radiation that would kill people if they weren't qualified to deal with the technology. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were the qualified engineers who were told to go inside and fix the unstable portal. In order to enter, you had to put on hats and cloaks, radiation suits of the time that kept them protected. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were the engineers who activated the Stargate, and the fourth being that was inside was an extraterrestrial being from another dimension that came through the portal, which people at the time considered to be gods. Saddam knew about the power of the Stargate. His team was able to decode the encryptions to activate the Stargate. He used the cover of restoring the Ziggurat of Ur as a cover for his scientists to restore its power. He threatened to activate the portal and wasn't trying to give up this information. This posed a world threat. The CIA knew about this and wanted to stop him. The director of the CIA at the time Saddam came into power was George H.W. Bush. He made sure Saddam wouldn't have his success in restoring it. The Gulf War was his first failed attempt to obtain the Stargate. The second invasion carried out by his son George W. Bush was a success. They gained control of the Stargate, temporarily relocated, as well as stealing other ancient artifacts from the Baghdad Museum. A few years later, after the successful overthrow of Saddam, a new portal was created in Geneva. Well, at least according to theories. The Large Hadron Collider is the world's largest machine, a 27-kilometer particle accelerator that sits under France and Switzerland. The LHC has the capabilities to recreate the conditions that existed after the Big Bang. Scientists from all over the world meet here to study the mysteries of the universe. Physicists smash atoms together to reveal what they're made of. This results in neutrons, kaons, and pions, or hadrons, subatomic particles smaller than an atom. Hence the name Large Hadron Collider. These proton collisions help scientists understand the mysteries of what our universe is made of. It took scientists over 40 years to discover what they call the God particle. This particle was discovered the last time they maxed the machine out at full power. And I'm going to let Bill Nye explain this one.
It may mean we'd be able to unlock limitless energy. Let me just put it that way. It may be that we would understand the next secret of the universe. That we would know, we'd be another step closer to knowing where we came from. We'd be another step closer to understanding the universe itself, which is ultimately quite a mystery to us.
What is this Higgs boson God particle?
At the very, very beginning of the universe. See, people here, as a matter of fact, I'm in Los Angeles, people at Mount Wilson, not far from here, notably Edwin Hubble, noticed that all the stars, everything's moving apart. So he reasoned that everything was all together at one time, and this would be the Big Bang. Well, at that time, it is speculated by mathematical, elegant physical reasoning that everything was kind of one thing. But then after the Big Bang, things started to separate. Things started to take on different properties. So that pure energy, like light, has no mass. The particles of light have no mass. The particles that make up you and me, like you've probably heard of protons and neutrons and electrons, they have mass. And do you know why?
No.
No one really is sure why. But it could very well be that there's an exchange of particles. Nowadays, we view these things as particles. We do experiments to detect particles, and you detect particles. Protons are made of quarks, which are held together with gluons. No kidding. And so it could be, it's very reasonable that these other particles all exist in this ether that would be called, named after Peter Higgs.
Right.
That is then infused with little particles that give them mass, that help them have mass.
And
this would be the Higgs boson.
God particle, understanding where we came from, secrets of the universe. Interesting choice of words from Bill Nye. Now, Stephen Hawking also said that the God particle is said to destroy the universe. There's a lot of interesting speculations pertaining to what CERN's actually doing. Some people believe that they shifted our reality and are the main reason behind the Mandela effect that we all are experiencing. Now, I didn't start looking into the Mandela effect until somebody told me that Sinbad never played a genie. I vividly remember this movie existing, but according to the internet, it doesn't. And also the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia. I remember a cornucopia. Some people remember that it didn't have a cornucopia. And last but not least, the Berenstein Bears and the Berenstein Bears. There's a huge debate on which one was actually correct, but I personally remember the Berenstein Bears. Many of us share false memories that never occurred, which is why many people believe we shifted realities due to CERN experimenting with energy. Some Christians believe that they're opening a portal to hell. Their logo is 3 6s, the mark of the beast. There's also a large statue of Lord Shiva outside their offices. Shiva is one of the 3 most powerful Hindu gods whose jobs were to maintain balance of the universe. Shiva is the cosmic dancer representing the universe creation and destruction as well as reincarnation cycles. The statue was gifted by the Indian government to celebrate its association with CERN, which started in the 1960s. The belief is that Lord Shiva danced the universe into existence and will eventually extinguish it. There's also been weird rituals held around the statue that were simply just ruled off as pranks. CERN has been associated with many conspiracies, from opening black holes to shifting our reality to Stargates. At the end of the day, no one truly knows what's going on. It's all just conspiracy. Are Stargates just a thing of science fiction, or is truth stranger than fiction? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section.
Ooh, tap into the frequency line.